Hi Savvies! Halloween might be over, but it doesn't mean you have to throw out those jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. Keep watching to see how I reuse both the seeds and the flesh of these pumpkins so that I can enjoy them all year round. I like to purchase jack-o'-lantern pumpkins, especially when they're really cheap, like $2 cheap. I might even purchase 2 pumpkins so I can display them out on our front porch to signal to the children that we're giving out candy. However, we don't usually carve these pumpkins and we are very laissez-faire and just leave it as is because they are decorations in itself. However, once Halloween is over, I really like to keep these pumpkins and roast the flesh. There are so many benefits to jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. The first obvious one is, of course, the seeds. I like to roast the seeds and have them as a healthy snack for the rest of the week. But did you know that you can also eat the flesh of a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin? These pumpkins have been cultivated to be larger and therefore are less intense in pumpkin flavor because of the water content being much higher. However, they're still just as nutritious as the traditional pie pumpkins and very versatile. Of course, being the eco warrior that I am, I would never throw out a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin and always have roasted pumpkin in the freezer ready to go for whatever recipe I want to create during the year. Now, these pumpkins are larger and do have a higher water content. However, they also have a lot of nutrition, such as fiber, vitamin E, vitamin C, iron, to name a few, which makes it a perfect ingredient for sweet or savory recipes. Some of the recipes that I have created with the roasted pumpkin is my pumpkin risotto, pumpkin spiced granola, pumpkin spiced oatmeal. You can put it into smoothies as an ingredient for added nutrition. The possibilities are really endless, and I'll link a few of the recipes that I have below. But follow along because this really is a superfood that shouldn't be wasted. So keep watching to see how I roast my pumpkins.
The first thing you want to do is to prepare the pumpkin by scrubbing it down with some soap and water. You want to make sure that there is no sand or grit. Next, you're going to want to cut into the pumpkin by cutting around the core. Be very careful and make sure you have a sharp knife. Don't forget to cut away from yourself. Once you have successfully cut open the pumpkin, split it in half so that you can see all of the seeds. Scoop out all of the seeds from both sides and then reserve it for easy snacking. I was surprised to see how little seeds this pumpkin had. Since this pumpkin is very large, you're going to have to cut it into smaller segments so that it can fit into your baking dish. I cut each half into thirds. You can discard the stem since we won't be needing this. I ended up needing 3 baking dishes to be able to roast this entire pumpkin in one shot. Drizzle some oil at the bottom of each baking dish. Place the pumpkin pieces into the baking dish and also rub down with oil. Since I'm using the pumpkin puree for both sweet and savory recipes, I will not be seasoning with salt and pepper. However, if you will only be using it for savory recipes, you can go ahead and add some salt and pepper. Roast the pumpkin in the oven set to 375 degrees for about 60 minutes. If you have 3 roasting pans like me, make sure that you rotate it after every 20 minutes. Once the pumpkin is done roasting, you'll want to let it cool so that you can handle it safely. I let my pumpkin come to room temperature overnight by leaving it in the oven. To ensure a smooth consistency for your pumpkin puree, you'll want to puree it in a food processor or a blender. Scoop out as much of the flesh as you can. Do this in batches. You might also notice that there is liquid at the bottom of your trays. This pumpkin didn't have any liquid, however in the past I've noticed that there is a lot of extra liquid and you can always reserve this for smoothies. Store the puree in containers. I like to store it in these soup containers so I know that there are 2 cups per portion. You can keep it in the fridge up to a week, or I like to leave it in the freezer for up to 6 months. This pumpkin yielded me about 14 to 16 cups of pumpkin puree.
I hope the next time you guys pick up a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, you remember to save it and roast it because it actually is very versatile and delicious. Leave me a comment below on what type of recipes you like to create with your roasted pumpkin. Now set forth and be savvy!